Coming up next, we take a look at the new Lionel Union Pacific auxiliary tender. Welcome to this channel, everybody. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new here, glad to have you. In this video, we're going to look at the new Lionel Legacy Union Pacific auxiliary tender. Now, these came out with basically four separate type of tenders. You have the Union Pacific lettered tender, you have the flag tender. Now, both of these have come in conventional or more like a dummy with no electronics in it, basically just the shell. And they also came with Legacy Command and Legacy Sounds. So we're going to open it. Well, fooled you. Mine's already on the layout over there. But Lionel has produced an auxiliary tender for your Union Pacific engines, whether it's the big boy or the 844. Now this auxiliary tender looks more kind of like the one that they put behind the Veranda. I don't know if it works behind the 844 or the big boy. I don't care. It's my railroad. I think it looks great. And to be honest with you, I got the flag version with the Legacy Control and the Legacy Sounds. So we're going to take a look at that. I know I promised you the 4th installment of the Century Club videos. But when I got this, I thought this would be a good video to break that up a little bit. And we'll get to the Century Club New York Central F3s in probably the next video, maybe in a week, maybe a little longer. Summertime. It's kind of taken up. There's a lot going on, so the videos don't get done as fast as I would like them, and I know probably you. But we'll get to that, I assure you, don't worry. But for the meantime, the tender's on the layout with the 844, so let's go ahead and take a look at all the details and listen to the sounds. Before we take a closer look at the aux tender, I just wanted to clear up an error in the manual pertaining to entering the information in the cab 2. When you push Info button on the cab 2, you will enter the tender's name and road number. You also enter settings such as type, meaning what kind of car it is, whether diesel, steam, freight car, or in the case of the tender, aux. You'll enter control as legacy mode and sounds as legacy rail sounds. The important one to note is the type. In the manual for type, they initially tell you to use freight, and later they tell you to use aux. I can confirm that aux is the correct type for your aux tender to work properly when built into a train with an engine and its tender. Assigning type as aux to the aux tender will ensure that the engine's tender backup light and rear coupler will not operate when using the aux tender in a train. It will also populate the numeric keyboard with aux tender specific icons. Remember, aux, not freight. Cab 2 version 1.70 and higher is recommended. Now let's look at the details on the aux tender. It is product number 2431320, the flag version with Legacy Control and Sounds. The tender is beautifully painted in UP yellow with red and gray highlights. It has crisp graphics and sharp lines, and the removable flags are the centerpiece on this unit. It has a Legacy Control backup light and rear electrode coupler. The front coupler is a magnetic thumbtack type coupler. It also has separately applied details such as ladders, walkways, and handrails. The removable metal flags have magnets so they are easily removed and attached to the tender body. I may try a little electrical tape on the magnets to keep them from possibly scratching the tender's paint. The flags seem to self-center on the side of the tender when applied, and the magnets seemed plenty strong enough to secure them. The flags also flow towards the rear of the tender on both sides. The 6-wheel trucks are painted silver and look sharp. The paint seems to match very well with my Vision Line Veranda from a few years back. All in all, this is a sharp-looking ox tender. Okay, before we put the tender into the train, I figured I would move the engine out of the way and just play with the sounds as it sits here. Now, the min-max switch on the bottom, that basically turns off some of the dialogue when you're using the cab 2, minimizes some of the sounds as the train or the car goes around the track. Right now I got it in the maximum position, and using the cab 2, this button is the pre-trip dialogue sequence, and if you push and hold it down,
grab the grease gun and hit the main rods and crossheads.
and the one below it is the post-trip dialogue.
She should be good for tonight. We'll be back at 7 to set her up for the 10 o'clock run in the morning.
The B and no B is wheel squeal for the curves off and on. The A is to enable clatter sounds on and off. The wrench is the flat wheel, which we're pretty familiar with. Flag doesn't do anything. This is a high, they call it a high tone sound. And then the whistle does a deeper sound tone. So, and of course, if you hit the electrocoupler, you'll get the coupler sound. Now also, just going down the tracks, you'll get some bumping, you'll get some wheel squeal, and again, you can select that on and off on your cab too. So it got a pretty good selection of sounds and a pretty good control over that. Flag comes off, again, with the magnets. It's pretty much self-centering, so there's not a lot to do there. So that is the Lionel Union Pacific Ox Tender flag version. I'm going to go ahead and pull in the 844 and hook it up, and we'll take it around the track for a few laps. Now before we pull it out, I wanted to show you that I did set it up as a train. My FEF is train 4. The Ox Tender is 45, and they do a graphical representation. We have train link on, and you know what? I'm going to move this over, and I'm not sure if we can add the dialogue in. And there's no whistle, so there's no sense in doing that. But I didn't try that, so we're going to try that now. All right, so the train's ready to go, and this is the first time I'm going to try the dialogue, so let's see what happens when we do some dialogue.
Dispatch, 844 here. We're all set. Can I go? Over. 844, you are good to go. Over. I've got green board. Green is clear to move. Out.
I'm not sure putting dialogue on that really made a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and hit train link. I'm going to hit the Ox Tender. And I'm going to do the move out dialogue.
Okay, let's pull the blue flag and let's head over to the train.
Just real quick, I wanted to show you that if you didn't select aux tender as the control type on this engine, you wouldn't get the correct functionality out of the existing tender on the 844. You wouldn't get the lighting that's correct, you wouldn't get the coupler correct. So since I selected aux tender instead of freight like the instructions in the manual say, when I do hit reverse, only the aux tender light comes on. And if I hit the rear coupler, only the coupler on the aux tender fires. Now if I would have assigned it as a freight car, the tender on the 844, when I put it in reverse, the backup light would have came on as well as the aux tender, and when I pushed the rear coupler, both the coupler on the 844 tender and the aux tender would have fired. So the correct control type setting is aux tender, regardless of what the instructions say in the manual. I think that was more or less a cut and paste. So if you get this, please assign it control type aux tender. So let's go ahead and shut down.
844, I'm shutting this train down. Out.
Let's go ahead and wrap up this video. The Lionel Union Pacific Auxiliary Tender. What a beautiful addition to your Vision Line Big Boy, your 844, even your Veranda. I don't think you could go wrong putting it behind any of those. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. And whether you go with the conventional model or basically the dummy units or the Lionel Legacy sound and control version, you can't go wrong. It really makes those engines pop. Next video is definitely going to be the Century Club fourth installment, the New York Central F3 ABAs. So we'll take a look at those next time. And until next time, if you like this video, punch the like button. If you're not a subscriber, we'd love to have you. And please, comment in the comments section. I read every one of them, and I like to respond to every one of them. It's great to get the community together and just chat about trains. So, that about wraps it up for this video. And until next time, happy railroading.